the traffic demand in Bangalore was really, really tiny. In 2000,
What was it? Can you tell us?
I can't remember what it was in 2001 when it was awarded. Maybe about 2.5, 3 million passengers a year. That's it, which is less than what we do in a month today, by the way. And so there's some very interesting statistics here. In 2005, when we started, the traffic volume was about 4.5 million. And we anticipated that when we opened in 2008, it'll be about 6.5 million. And so the volume for which the airport was developed was 12 million passengers. I still remember tiny terminal, 42 aircraft parking stands. All of that was the number, and on the basis of the fact that it should cater to about 12 million passengers. And then something phenomenal happened in Bangalore. Captain Gopinath opened Air Deccan and revolutionized air travel. It was, to travel for 1 rupee.
Yeah.
And you know what that did to the real dream of Hawai Chappal to Hawai Jahaj. That's where the seeds were sowed. And during those 3 years, I mean, again, I'm really stretching my memory to try and remember the numbers, but I would not be wrong if I would say the compounded growth rate for those 3 years were 30% year on year, which meant that 4.5 million, which was supposed to go to a aggressive 6.5 million, when this airport opened, it was already 10.5 million in the very first year. This is 10.5 million handled in HAL. So if in the very first year, if you were to assume the usual moderate 15% growth, which means in the very first year, you would handle more traffic than the airport was designed to.
Yeah.
Right? It was. And
I think that's a constant problem with the problem or a good problem to have.
A good problem to have.
But constant.
For us, it was a disaster because on day one, people were looking at a packed airport, saying, oh, they are under. It was not easy for people to understand that, first of all, a airport that was mired in controversy, it took several missed attempts to get it started. If there was any more stops to it, it would not have helped. A lot of people ask, why didn't you stop the construction in between, then redesign and build larger? It would never have got built then, right? So we had to go ahead and build the 12 million as it was designed, with the idea that we'll expand immediately. And then, of course, the typical cyclical nature of our business, as one would have it, an economic event happened, and 2008-9, the very first year of operation, where we should have ideally handled 12.5 million passengers, we finally ended up only at 8.5 million passengers, 8.7 million passengers, which meant that we had enough spare capacity. That gave us the headroom to start thinking about expansion and growth and things like that. But in that very first year, because of the fact that we opened to a packed terminal, and the fact that everybody had aspirations that the airport will look much larger than it did. And Hyderabad, of course, had a split level. We had only a single level terminal, which means arrival and departure, the traffic, passenger traffic, the vehicular traffic, all arrived at the same level. Whereas in Hyderabad, the departure level went on top, the arrival level went below. All of this led to a lot of comparison between Hyderabad and Bangalore. And of course, from an architectural standpoint, what was built till date, I believe to be one of the most efficient airport designs ever. Brilliantly efficient design. But however, it did not meet the aesthetic elevation that people wanted in their city's airport. Great learning for us. So from a functional standpoint, it was brilliant. But, and therefore, even today, many people say, despite T2 having achieved all this grandeur and all this praise, they say from an efficiency standpoint, we still love Terminal 1, right? Because it's so easy to come in and out of. But it didn't meet those aspirations of the city.
For stories like this, keep following us. From Code to Culture, our podcast. Subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media.